Please, you have to forgive me.
After what you did, how can I?
I know I hurt you. I'm so sorry.
Why? Just tell me why.
Because I love you. Please, you have to forgive me.
After everything, how can I trust you?
I'll prove it. I'll do anything.
Just be honest with me.
I promise.
Marcus Hale was 38 years old, a master electrician who built his contracting business from nothing, owned his home outright, and had never once given his wife a reason to doubt him. For 8 years, he showed up quietly, completely, without asking for applause. Then one evening, he came home early from a canceled job and found a printed email on his nightstand that his wife had forgotten to hide. Sometime, another man. A secret savings account she had been filling for some time while Marcus's paychecks kept the lights on and the mortgage current. She had already paid a divorce attorney's retainer. 2 days after Marcus used their joint card to book a romantic anniversary trip to Savannah, she never intended to take. Sometime later, she sat across from him with packed suitcases and said the words she had clearly rehearsed. "Marcus, I do not need you." He walked her to the door, helped load her bags, and said, "Drive safe." What she did not know, what she could not have known, was that Marcus was already 3 steps ahead, and she would find out exactly what that meant. Before we jump into the story, comment where in the world you are watching from and subscribe, because the next story is one you need to hear. Marcus Hale's day began like all his others in the early morning, before the sun had any thoughts of rising. The quiet of pre-dawn settled around him as he moved through his morning routine with practiced efficiency. His work boots barely made a sound on the hardwood floors he had refinished himself the previous summer. The same floors Brianna had said needed warming up. The coffee maker hummed to life, filling the kitchen with its familiar aroma. Marcus settled at the solid oak table, another piece of this home he had carefully chosen and maintained over their 8 years of marriage. Spread before him were 3 contracts for upcoming jobs, a rewiring project for a local church, a full electrical installation for a new restaurant downtown, and a bid proposal for a commercial development that could take Hale Electric to the next level. His calloused fingers traced the lines of each document as he reviewed the details. Years of working with his hands had taught him the value of thoroughness. Every wire, every connection, every detail mattered. It was how he had built his business from a one-man operation into a respected name in Atlanta's working-class suburbs. The sound of footsteps on the stairs announced Brianna's arrival. She appeared in the doorway, already dressed for her marketing job at the real estate firm. Her clothes carefully chosen and professional. Marcus looked up, offering a smile that was not quite returned. "Morning," she said, moving past him to the coffee maker. Her voice was pleasant enough, but held the same distance that had become their new normal. "Made a fresh pot," Marcus replied, watching as she poured her coffee into the travel mug she had started using recently, one he did not recognize. "Thanks." She added cream and sugar, her movements efficient and detached, as if he were simply part of the kitchen furniture. Some time ago, she would have at least rested a hand on his shoulder as she passed. Some time ago, their mornings had different rhythms. Marcus returned to his contracts, but his attention was not fully on the papers anymore. He noticed how Brianna checked her phone 3 times while preparing her breakfast, a yogurt parfait she barely touched. She had been going out more lately, happy hours with coworkers that stretched later and later. The previous week, she had not made it home until after dark. "Big presentation today?" he asked, trying to bridge the growing silence between them. "Mm-hmm," she responded, gathering her things. "Might be another late one." "Do not wait up." Marcus nodded, keeping his face neutral. "I booked that trip to Savannah," he said carefully, "for our anniversary next month. Got us that bed and breakfast you mentioned wanting to try." Something flickered across Brianna's face, too quick to read. "Oh, right. Thanks." She glanced at her watch. "I should go. Traffic is going to be terrible." After she left, Marcus stood to refill his coffee. He needed to check on something in the home office anyway, a receipt for materials he had filed the previous week. The office was technically shared space, though lately it felt like everything else, separated by an invisible line. That is when he saw it. Behind a stack of design magazines Brianna kept on her desk, partially hidden by books about market analysis and brand development, was a cell phone he had never seen before. It was not her usual iPhone with the cracked case she had been meaning to replace. This was newer, slimmer, plugged into a charger that snaked behind the desk. Marcus stood very still, coffee forgotten in his hand. 8 years of marriage had taught him his wife's habits, her belongings, the rhythm of their shared life. This phone was new information, important information. He did not touch it, did not move the books, did not even step closer to see the brand or model. Instead, he retrieved the receipt he had come for and returned to the kitchen, his movements as measured as they had been when he woke up. Settling back at the table, Marcus stared out the kitchen window at their backyard. The deck he had built some summers ago needed staining again. The flower beds he had installed when they first moved in were starting to show early spring growth. Everything in view was something he had built, maintained, or improved with his own hands. The morning light was growing stronger now, casting long shadows across the yard. Marcus sat perfectly still, his coffee cooling beside the contracts that still needed his attention. His face remained calm, but something had shifted in his dark eyes, a new awareness, not yet fully formed, but impossible to ignore. He picked up his pen and returned to the contracts. He had a long day ahead of him. There were crews to manage, materials to order, clients to meet. The work, as always, would be done right. The sudden permit delay was not something Marcus had planned for, but 18 years in contracting had taught him that some things were beyond control. He pulled into his driveway in the afternoon, hours before his usual return time. Brianna's silver Lexus, the one she had insisted on leasing the previous year, was nowhere in sight. The house felt different in the middle of the afternoon, quieter. The sunlight streaming through the windows he had replaced himself cast unfamiliar shadows across the hardwood floors. Marcus moved through the rooms with the steady pace that defined everything he did, his work boots making soft thuds against the floor. In the kitchen, a coffee mug sat unwashed in the sink. Not his, he never left dishes. A half-eaten yogurt container beside it, the spoon still inside. Little signs of Brianna's rushed morning departure, the kind of details he had started noticing more lately. He headed upstairs to change out of his work clothes, his mind already on the estimates he could get ahead on with this unexpected free time. The bedroom door was partially open, afternoon light spilling across their queen-size bed. Another piece of furniture they had chosen together, back when together meant something different. As he shrugged off his heavy work jacket, something caught his eye on Brianna's nightstand. Beneath the novel she had been reading for the past few weeks, he had not seen her turn a single page, was a partially concealed piece of paper. The corner peeking out had what looked like a corporate letterhead. Marcus stood perfectly still for a moment, that same stillness that had served him well through every crisis he had ever faced. Then, with deliberate care, he reached for the paper. It was an email printed on standard office paper. The header showed it had been sent the previous afternoon from lance.whitaker@whitakerrealty.com to brianna.butler@whitakerrealty.com. Subject: Next steps. Marcus read each word with the same attention he gave to electrical schematics. The language was casual, intimate, the tone of someone who knew they were writing to a lover, not a colleague. Lance mentioned how much he had enjoyed their weekend getaway the previous month, and how he could not wait to have more than stolen moments. The previous month, Charlotte, where Brianna had supposedly visited her college roommate Jennifer, but it was the next paragraph that made Marcus's trained hands, capable of the most delicate electrical work, go completely still. I talked to my guy about the paperwork yesterday. Once you handle your end, we can move forward with everything we discussed. I know this transition period is difficult, but you are handling it perfectly. Soon, we will not have to hide anything. Marcus read it again, then once more. Each word burned itself into his memory with precise clarity. With the same careful movements he used when handling live wires, he folded the email into perfect thirds and slipped it into his work jacket pocket. He sat on the edge of the bed, their bed, and remained there motionless for some time. Anyone watching might have mistaken his stillness for shock or grief. They would have been wrong. Behind his eyes, calculations were forming, connections being made, a blueprint taking shape. The sound of Brianna's car pulling into the driveway that evening found Marcus in the kitchen calmly reheating the pot roast he had made in the slow cooker 2 days ago, the same pot roast she had barely touched at dinner. "You are home early," Brianna said, surprised, coloring her voice as she set her purse down on the counter. "Permit delay on the Thompson project," Marcus replied, his voice warm and even. "How was your day?" "Oh, busy." She ran a hand through her hair, a nervous gesture he had known for 8 years. "Had happy hour with some people from work. Should have texted." "That is good," Marcus said, stirring the pot roast. "You need to decompress. Want some dinner?" "There is plenty." Something flickered across Brianna's face, uncertainty, maybe concern, but it vanished when Marcus smiled at her, the same smile he had given her that morning, the same smile he had given her for 8 years. "I will have a little," she said, relaxing visibly. "Let me change first." Later that night, after Brianna had gone to bed claiming a headache, Marcus sat at the kitchen table. The house was dark except for the single light above him. The folded email lay on the table's worn surface, innocent-looking despite the weight of its contents. He picked up his phone and typed a single message to his brother Vance. "I need your help. Call me in the morning." The morning air was crisp as Marcus sat in his work truck parked at the empty construction site. His crew would not arrive for another half hour. He pulled out his phone and called Vance. His brother answered on the second ring. "Kind of early for a social call. Need your expertise," Marcus said, his voice steady. He explained everything. The hidden phone behind the books, the printed email, the weekend in Charlotte that was not Charlotte. Vance listened without interruption, the way he had been trained to do in the army. When Marcus finished, Vance was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Do not touch anything. Do not change anything. Give me 72 hours. What are you thinking?" "I am thinking you are smart enough to call me instead of confronting her. Let me work. Go home tonight and act normal. Actually, act better than normal." Marcus nodded, though Vance could not see it. "I hear you." The next few days were a master class in controlled performance. Marcus brought home yellow roses on Tuesday evening, just because, he said when Brianna looked surprised. He suggested trying that new Thai place she had mentioned the previous month. He was present, attentive, and completely unreadable. At work, he ran his crews with the same precise attention he always had. No one would have guessed anything was wrong. Malik, his best friend since childhood and lead foreman, noticed Marcus checking his phone more often, but knew better than to ask. Vance's updates came in careful, measured texts. Day 1 found the accounts, more than one. Give me time. Day 2 got access to the firm's public records. You are going to want to sit down for this. Day 3, meet me. Usual spot, 4 p.m. The usual spot was a quiet coffee shop near Vance's office. Marcus arrived to find his brother already there, a thick manila envelope on the table. Vance's expression was carefully neutral, his investigation face. "It is not good," Vance said without preamble. "The affair with Lance Whitaker, it has been going on some time, not weeks. I have got hotel receipts, restaurant charges, a pattern of meetings disguised as work events." Marcus's hands remained steady around his coffee cup. "Go on." "She opened a personal savings account some time ago, no joint access. Been making irregular deposits, 200 here, 800 there. Total is just over 14,000 now. Some of those transfers came directly from your household account." Marcus absorbed this, his expression unchanged. Vance continued, each word measured. "Some time ago she had a consultation with a divorce attorney, paid a retainer. Here is the kicker. The payment went through 2 days after you booked that Savannah trip." Marcus sat perfectly still, processing the timeline. The careful dismantling of their life together had been happening right under his nose while he was still building, still investing, still planning their future. "I have got it all documented," Vance added, sliding the envelope across the table. "Names, dates, account numbers, everything a good attorney would need." Marcus took the envelope without opening it. "Thank you. What is your next move?" "Already made it. Got a referral from your office for Elena Martinez, best divorce attorney in 3 counties. Vance nodded approvingly. Marcus stood, envelope in hand, and headed to his truck. In the parking lot, he reviewed the findings one more time. The retainer payment detail hit him hardest. She had let him book their anniversary trip knowing she was already planning her exit. He forwarded that specific detail to Elena Martinez with one line, "Get everything ready." That Friday, Marcus pulled into his driveway at his usual time. Something felt different before he even opened the door. Inside, he found Brianna sitting at their kitchen table, 2 packed suitcases beside her. Her face was composed, rehearsed. She delivered her speech with practiced precision. They wanted different things. She had been unhappy. She needed more from life. She deserved more. She was sorry, but she had to do this for herself. Marcus listened without interruption, just as he had that morning in his truck with Vance. Then, she said it. The words that would echo. "Marcus, I love you, but I do not need you. I can do this on my own." Marcus nodded slowly. "Okay, Brianna." She blinked, thrown by his calmness. He could see her struggling to adjust her script. Without waiting for more, Marcus stood and picked up one of her suitcases. "Let me help you with these." They walked to her car in silence. He loaded the bags carefully into her trunk, the same way he handled everything, with purpose and precision. "Drive safe," he said, stepping back from the car. Brianna sat there for a full minute, hands on the steering wheel, before finally pulling away. Marcus watched until her tail lights disappeared around the corner. Inside, he went straight to his laptop and picked up his phone. Elena Martinez answered immediately. "It is Marcus Hale. She just left." Let us file first. The morning light filtered through the diner's clouded windows as Marcus stirred his coffee. It was early, and the place was mostly empty except for a few contractors grabbing breakfast before their shifts. Vance sat across from him, a thick manila folder placed carefully between their coffee cups. "You are not going to like what I found," Vance said, opening the folder with practiced precision. "But you need to know everything." Marcus nodded, his face composed. He had not slept much, but his eyes were clear and focused. "Let us start with Lance Whitaker," Vance continued, pulling out several documents. "This is not his first time doing this. I found a pattern going back some time at the firm. He targets married women specifically, usually ones in marketing or admin roles, positions where he has authority but not direct supervision." Marcus took a slow sip of his coffee, letting the information settle. "Some time ago there was an HR complaint that got buried. Similar situation. Married woman, promises of advancement, hints about a better life. The complaint disappeared, but the woman transferred to another office suddenly. 3 months later, same pattern with someone else. Vance laid out printed emails and meeting records, carefully redacted but clear enough. He is not in love with Brianna, Marcus. He is managing her. It is a strategy he has perfected. Show interest, hint at opportunities, create distance between the target and their spouse. Then, make promises about the future, always just vague enough to maintain deniability. Marcus's hands remained steady around his coffee cup. "Tell me about his marriage." "That is where it gets interesting," Vance said, pulling out another document. "He is still very much married. His wife comes from old Atlanta money. The marriage is more of a business arrangement at this point, but it is what maintains his lifestyle. The downtown condo where Brianna is staying, it is actually owned by his wife's family trust." Marcus absorbed this detail, thinking about Brianna walking into that space, thinking it represented her future. "Your attorney filed the divorce petition yesterday," Vance continued. "The financial subpoenas went out this morning. That $14,000 account is already on record. Brianna's lawyer tried to frame it as personal savings, but Elena Martinez shut that down fast. We have got bank records showing transfers directly from your joint household account, the one you have been funding solo for the past 3 years, while Brianna's paychecks went elsewhere." Marcus nodded slowly. "She was building her exit ramp while I paid for everything." "Exactly," Vance confirmed. "This was not just unhappiness, Marcus. This was calculated. She was using your stability to finance her escape plan." The diner had started filling up with the morning crowd. A waitress topped off their coffees, and Marcus waited until she moved away before speaking. "Keep watching," he said quietly. "I want to know everything. Where she goes, who she talks to, what story she is telling people." "Already on it," Vance assured him. "I have got someone monitoring the firm's internal communications. Lance is not as careful as he thinks he is." Marcus finished his coffee and checked his phone. He had a crew waiting at a job site across town. "Send everything to Elena. I want it all documented." That evening, Marcus met Malik at their usual spot, a small bar where they had been watching games since they were old enough to drink. He told him a partial version, leaving out the details about Lance's pattern and the financial records. Malik's reaction was immediate. "Man, you need to confront her now. Call her out on all of it." Marcus shook his head, his voice calm. "Not yet. I want everything before she knows I have anything." "You are too cool about this," Malik protested. "She is out there living in some rich man's condo while you are just waiting." "I am not waiting," Marcus corrected. "I am building. Later that night, Marcus sat on his back deck, the one he had constructed himself 2 summers ago, every board and nail placed with purpose. The night air was cool, and the neighborhood was quiet. His dinner plate sat empty beside him. He was not angry. Anger required uncertainty, and Marcus was past that now. What he felt was focused, clean and sharp as a newly leveled beam. Every revelation from Vance, every document in Elena Martinez's growing file, was another piece of framework being set into place. The deck creaked softly under his chair as he leaned back, looking up at the stars, the same stars he and Brianna used to watch together back when he thought silence meant peace instead of preparation. Marcus was reviewing material orders in his truck when Vance's name flashed on his phone display. He answered through the Bluetooth speaker, expecting their usual morning check-in. "You need to pull over for this one," Vance said without preamble. Marcus guided his truck into an empty church parking lot, killed the engine, and switched to handheld. "Go ahead. Lance Whitaker's house of cards just collapsed." Vance's voice had the precise tone he used when delivering confirmed intelligence. His wife, Sandra, filed for divorce yesterday morning. But that is just the beginning. Marcus settled back in his seat, watching morning traffic pass on the main road. "Tell me." Sandra's attorney is aggressive, high-powered family law specialist who specializes in hidden asset cases. They have already filed for emergency injunctive relief to freeze accounts. During initial discovery, they found something interesting. A secondary LLC Lance has been using to redirect firm commissions. We are talking serious money, Marcus. Off-books transactions dating back 3 years. How much? North of 7 figures. But here is where it gets better. The State Real Estate Licensing Board got wind of it. They have opened a formal inquiry into his license and business practices. The firm is in damage control mode. Marcus absorbed this, thinking about Brianna sitting in Lance's downtown condo, planning her new life around his projected wealth. What else? 2 women from the firm filed HR complaints this morning. Neither one is Brianna, Vance added quickly. Similar pattern. He approached them while they were married, promised career advancement, suggested their husbands were holding them back. One has documented emails going back some time. Same timeline as Brianna, Marcus noted. Exactly. HR called Brianna in for a meeting first thing today. Standard procedure when there is an investigation involving a senior partner and a subordinate who is known to be involved. Marcus could picture it. Brianna, in her carefully chosen office wear, sitting across from HR representatives who suddenly viewed her not as an ambitious professional, but as a liability to be managed. Her position? He asked. Not terminated yet, but compromised. They are documenting everything, building a paper trail. Lance is already distancing himself. Canceled their standing lunch meetings. Stopped including her in client dinners. All those introductions he promised to his social circle? Gone quiet. Marcus remembered Brianna's words. "I do not need you." He wondered how those words tasted now, sitting alone in Lance's increasingly empty promises. "There is more," Vance continued. Lance asked her to move out of the condo yesterday. His attorney advised clearing any personal connections while they handle the licensing investigation. She is at the extended stay on Hammond Drive. Marcus knew the place. Clean, but basic. Nothing like the lifestyle Lance had dangled. How is she paying for it? Credit cards, from what I can see. Her salary will not cover it long term. Speaking of financial matters, Vance's tone shifted. How did the Decatur bid meeting go? For the first time that morning, Marcus smiled slightly. Final walkthrough is Thursday. Contracts ready for signatures. The mixed-use development? Marcus, that is a 7-figure job. 8? Marcus corrected quietly. Full electrical design build for all 3 buildings plus infrastructure. I have been working on that bid package for 4 months. While she thought you were just running service calls, Vance said with satisfaction. Hale Electric is about to level up. Need to hire 2 more journeymen just to handle the base load, Marcus confirmed. Looking at an office manager, too. Cannot run everything from my truck anymore. They talked logistics for a few more minutes before ending the call. Marcus sat in the church parking lot watching the morning sun climb higher. He thought about Brianna in her hotel room watching her carefully constructed future dissolve. He thought about Lance facing investigations that would strip away his professional armor. He thought about his own quiet work. The hours reviewing plans, refining numbers, building relationships with developers who respected competence over flash. The following afternoon, Marcus sat at his newly installed office desk. Real cherry wood, selected and paid for with the same care he brought to everything. The Decatur contract lay before him. 57 pages of specifications, timelines, and terms. He signed each flagged page with a steady hand. Initials clear and confident. Setting the pen down, he allowed himself exactly 1 moment to feel the satisfaction of earned success. Then he picked up his phone and called his crew foreman. They had work to schedule, teams to organize, and a future to build. Unlike the one Brianna chased, this one was founded on something real. Marcus sat across from his attorney, Elena Martinez, in the well-appointed downtown office. Between them, spread across the polished conference table, lay the complete case file. 3 months of meticulous documentation organized in crisp blue folders. The financial evidence alone is compelling, Martinez said, tapping the leftmost folder. Hidden accounts, diverted household funds, unauthorized transfers. Then we have the timeline. Some time of documented infidelity, some time of systematic financial deception, and that retainer payment on your joint card 2 days after you booked the Savannah trip. He leaned back, confident. We are positioned for a very favorable settlement. Marcus nodded, studying the materials. I want a mediated sit-down. All parties present, not just attorneys. Martinez frowned. That is not advisable, Marcus. We have leverage. Why give them face-to-face opportunities to manipulate the narrative? Because I want her to hear it directly from me, Marcus said simply. Every detail, every date, every decision she made while I was building our life. I want her mother there too. Gloria Whitaker? Martinez shuffled through his notes. The witness to your wife's pre-separation narrative manipulation. Yes. Brianna needs to understand that every false story she told is documented, that her mother's testimony exists, that there is nowhere left to hide. Martinez studied his client carefully. Most men in Marcus's position came in radiating anger or pain. Marcus radiated clarity. You understand, this gives them opportunities to provoke emotional responses, to try to paint you as aggressive or unstable. Marcus's slight smile did not reach his eyes. They have been underestimating me for some time. Let them keep doing it 1 more day. After a moment, Martinez nodded. I will arrange it, but I want to prep you thoroughly. No prep needed, Marcus interrupted quietly. I know what I am doing. Leaving the office, Marcus made 3 calls from his truck. First to Malik. It is time, he said simply. About damn time, Malik replied. You need anything? Just be ready to meet afterward, either to celebrate or commiserate. Man, knowing you, it will be celebrating. Next, he called Vance. Bring everything tomorrow. Every document, every timeline, every piece of evidence. I want it all in that room. You sure about this approach? Vance asked. Completely. She needs to see it all laid out at once. No more hiding behind lawyers or distance. Finally, he called Gloria Whitaker. She answered on the second ring. Marcus, is everything all right? Yes, ma'am. I am requesting a mediated settlement conference tomorrow. I would like you there as a witness to what you told me about Brianna's statements before she left. Gloria was quiet for a moment. You are sure? Yes, ma'am. Your daughter needs to face the truth. All of it. What time? 9 a.m., downtown offices. I will be there, she said without hesitation. And Marcus, you are doing the right thing. That evening, Marcus moved through his house with deliberate calm. He laid out his charcoal suit, the one he wore to bid presentations, perfectly tailored. White shirt, navy tie, polished black Oxfords. Everything precise, nothing flashy. In his home office, he reviewed the case file one final time. Not rehearsing speeches, he did not need them. Instead, he organized his thoughts with the same methodical care he brought to planning complex electrical systems. Every fact was a wire, every connection documented, every sequence mapped. He knew exactly how tomorrow would flow. The late summer evening was cooling when Marcus stepped out onto his back deck. The carpentry project he had started some days ago, a simple but elegant storage bench, waited for its final touches. He worked steadily, sanding the cedar to a perfect smoothness, checking each joint, applying the last coat of sealant. The physical work centered him as it always had. When he finished, Marcus ran his hand across the completed surface. Like everything he built, it was exactly what it was supposed to be. Solid, functional, made to last. No shortcuts, no compromises, no pretense. Just honest work done right. He cleaned his tools, stored them properly, and swept the deck clean. Inside, he set his alarm for early, though he knew he would not need it. His body had woken before dawn for so many years, it was simply natural now. In the quiet of his bedroom, Marcus folded his reading glasses and set them beside the novel he had been working through, A History of Electrical Innovation in America. Tomorrow would settle everything, but tonight was for rest. The downtown mediation office occupied the 15th floor of a glass and steel high-rise. Marcus arrived 30 minutes early, parking his truck in the validated structure and taking the elevator up with unhurried confidence. His charcoal suit fit perfectly. He had had it tailored the previous year for client presentations. The white shirt was crisp, the navy tie precisely knotted, his black Oxfords gleaming. The receptionist directed him to conference room C. Marcus thanked her and stepped inside. The room was well appointed, but neutral. A long mahogany table, comfortable chairs, water service on a side credenza, city views through tinted windows. He poured himself water, set his briefcase beside his chair, and sat quietly without reaching for his phone. Gloria Whitaker arrived next, dressed conservatively in a navy pantsuit. She nodded to Marcus and took a seat 2 chairs down. They did not speak. Nothing needed to be said. Vance arrived shortly after, carrying a leather portfolio thick with documents. He set up efficiently at Marcus's right hand, laying out key files in precise order. Martinez, Marcus's attorney, arrived 10 minutes before the scheduled start. He reviewed the document arrangement with approval, then briefed the mediator who would be facilitating. The mediator, a silver-haired woman named Judge Chen, took her position at the head of the table. At the appointed time, Brianna entered with her attorney, Robert Klein. She wore a cream-colored blazer over a black dress, her makeup perfect, her posture rehearsed. Then she saw Gloria. The slight falter in her step was visible only to those who knew to watch for it. She had not expected her mother here. "Mom!" Brianna's voice carried a note of betrayal. "What are you doing here?" "Mrs. Whitaker is present at Mr. Hale's request," Martinez stated formally, "as a material witness to certain relevant conversations." Brianna's jaw tightened. She took her seat across from Marcus, not meeting his eyes. Klein arranged his materials, projecting confidence he likely did not feel given the thickness of Vance's portfolio. "Let us begin," Judge Chen said. "Mr. Klein, please present your client's position." Klein launched into their prepared opening. Reasonable division of marital assets, spousal support given Brianna's career sacrifices during the marriage, either sale of the house or Marcus buying out Brianna's equity stake. His tone suggested this was all very standard, very reasonable. Martinez let him finish completely. Then he opened the first blue folder. "Your Honor, we will be presenting documented evidence of systematic financial deception during the marriage, including unauthorized diversion of marital funds and deliberate misrepresentation of the marital status to multiple parties. We will begin with Exhibit A, some time of documented communication between Mrs. Hale and Lance Whitaker, demonstrating an ongoing extramarital relationship that predates her separation by more than a year." Brianna's hands tightened on her armrests as Martinez methodically laid out the timeline. The secret phone records, the hotel receipts, the Charlotte weekend that was not Charlotte. Vance had been thorough. Exhibit B, bank records showing a concealed personal savings account containing $14,000 in diverted marital funds, opened some time before separation without Mr. Hale's knowledge or consent. Klein tried to interject. Judge Chen silenced him with a raised hand, studying the documentation. And finally, Exhibit C, proof that Mrs. Hale paid a $5,000 retainer to divorce counsel some time ago using the couple's joint credit card. This was 2 days after Mr. Hale paid for their anniversary trip to Savannah. Also documented here, using the same card. The room was very quiet. Brianna's perfect makeup could not hide her pallor. Then Marcus spoke. His voice was steady, neither loud nor soft. "I would like to address my wife directly, if the mediator permits." Judge Chen nodded. Marcus turned to face Brianna fully. "For some time, you maintained a relationship with another man while I maintained our home. For some time, you diverted our household funds while I paid our bills. You told your mother and others that we were basically separated while I booked our anniversary trip. You paid a divorce attorney with our joint card 2 days after I paid for Savannah." He paused, letting each fact land with quiet weight. "You constructed a story where I was failing you, where I knew it too, but would not admit it. You told that story while I built our deck, while I refinished our floors, while I funded the life you were secretly planning to leave." Brianna's eyes filled with tears. They spilled over, tracking mascara down her cheeks. "Mom," she whispered, turning to Gloria. "How could you tell him?" "Because it was true," Gloria said simply, "and because he deserved to know." Klein tried again to redirect. "Your Honor, this emotional manipulation?" "Objection noted." Martinez cut in. "Now let us discuss our terms." Marcus laid them out precisely. Sole ownership of the house, full protection of his business assets, return of the diverted marital funds, and a clean dissolution with no spousal support. His voice remained level, as if discussing an electrical bid. Klein leaned close to Brianna, speaking urgently. Marcus knew what he was saying. If they did not accept, every document would become public record in a contested trial. Every timeline, every receipt, every lie. The divorce decree arrived on a Tuesday morning, delivered by courier to Marcus's office. The manila envelope felt lighter than the weight of its contents should suggest. He opened it carefully, reviewed each page once with the same attention he gave electrical blueprints, then placed it in his briefcase to file at home later. That same afternoon, Brianna received a different kind of envelope. The corporate restructuring memo announced immediate organizational changes in response to recent leadership transition. Careful corporate language for Lance Whitaker's spectacular fall. Her position was being eliminated. She was offered a lateral transfer to their Covington satellite office, 40 minutes outside Atlanta, at a 20% reduced salary. The HR director delivered this news with practiced neutrality. "We need your decision by Friday," she said, sliding the transfer paperwork across the desk. Brianna stared at the salary figure, mentally calculating rent possibilities in Covington. The number would not support anything close to her extended stay hotel. She signed the papers without negotiating. Lance's implosion continued with mechanical precision. The State Real Estate Licensing Board concluded their investigation and formally suspended his license for 12 months, citing ethical violations and financial impropriety. His firm issued a press release announcing their mutual separation from Lance, emphasizing their commitment to professional conduct and regulatory compliance. His wife's divorce attorney proved ruthlessly effective. She successfully argued that Lance's undisclosed LLC and concealed commission structure constituted deliberate financial deception during the marriage. The judge agreed. The settlement stripped Lance of multiple properties, including the downtown condo where Brianna had briefly lived. He was left with a fraction of his apparent wealth. His carefully constructed image collapsed like a house of cards. Brianna found a one-bedroom apartment in Covington, in a tired complex with a cracked tennis court, and a pool that had not been opened in 2 seasons. The rent consumed nearly half her reduced salary. She boxed up her designer clothes, bought during the Lance months, and stored them in her mother's garage. They belonged to a life that no longer existed. The social circles Lance had promised access to closed ranks immediately. The dinner invitations stopped. The charity board consideration evaporated. The introductions to people she should know never materialized. She was quietly removed from 3 group texts and unfollowed by several wives of Lance's former colleagues. Gloria called Marcus on a Sunday morning, about a week after Brianna's move to Covington. The conversation was brief but warm. "I wanted to thank you," she said, "for handling everything the way you did." "Nothing to thank me for," Marcus replied. "You did the right thing, too. I hope you find peace in all this," Gloria said softly. Marcus looked out his kitchen window at the garden bed he had just finished building. "I already have it," he said. They ended the call with genuine goodwill. That evening, Gloria hosted dinner at her house. Nothing fancy, just family and real friends. Marcus manned the grill, seasoning chicken and vegetables with the unhurried confidence of a man who knew exactly what he was doing. Vance nursed a single beer, talking shop with Malik about a security system upgrade for Hale Electric's new office space. Gloria moved through her kitchen with quiet efficiency, batting away offers of help with a wave of her wooden spoon. Nobody gave speeches. Nobody needed to. The conversation flowed naturally. Work stories, neighborhood gossip, Malik's wedding plans, the Braves' pitching rotation. Plates were filled and refilled. Laughter came easily. These were people who had known Marcus before, during, and after, who had watched him handle everything with a dignity that required no audience. Gloria's banana pudding appeared for dessert, served in the blue glass bowls she had owned since Marcus was a boy. The familiar taste carried him back to countless Sunday dinners, to the foundation his mother had built through quiet consistency and unflinching love. As the evening wound down, Marcus hugged his mother goodbye. She held him a moment longer than usual, saying nothing. She did not need to. Her pride in the man he had proven to be, again, was evident in her eyes. The night air was soft as Marcus drove home, windows down, Atlanta's lights painting the sky in distant orange. He turned onto his street, the familiar curve of it settling something in his chest. The house came into view. His house, fully and finally his. The new garden bed was a darker shadow against the lawn. The navy blue front door he had repainted gleamed under the porch light he had wired himself. He pulled into the driveway and sat for a moment, engine off, looking at the home he had built and kept. Through everything, he had remained exactly who he was. That was its own victory. The morning sun had not yet cleared the horizon when Marcus's eyes opened early. Some time had passed since the divorce was finalized, but his internal clock remained as precise as ever, as he moved through his morning routine with practiced efficiency. Fresh clothes laid out, coffee measured exactly, the quiet house holding the rhythm of his footsteps. The Stonecrest neighborhood was still sleeping as Marcus carried his coffee onto the back deck. The wooden boards beneath his feet were solid. He had replaced 3 of them the previous weekend, not because they were failing, but because he believed in maintaining things before they broke. The morning air carried the scent of his neighbor's jasmine and the distant sound of early commuter traffic. Hale Electric's growth had exceeded even his careful projection. The Decatur mixed-use development, completed some time ahead of schedule and under budget, had opened doors Marcus knew were there but had waited patiently to walk through. 2 major referrals followed, a retail complex renovation and a medical office building that required specialized electrical systems. Both clients specifically requested Hale Electric based on the Decatur project's reputation. Marcus sipped his coffee, watching a cardinal land on the raised garden bed he had built in the spring. The tomatoes were coming in strong, and the herbs Kendra had suggested were thriving. He smiled, thinking about her practical approach. She had researched companion planting and drawn him a diagram, the same methodical attention she brought to her high school chemistry lessons. Inside his office, the morning's priorities waited in neat stacks. The school district bid documents required final review before submission, the largest potential contract in Hale Electric's history. The scope would require adding 2 journeyman electricians to the crew and finally hiring the full-time office manager he had been considering. Growth, but controlled growth, built on foundation, not leverage. The house around him had transformed quietly but completely over the past year. The navy blue front door made the brick exterior pop exactly as he had envisioned. The garage workspace gleamed with completed projects, including the custom storage system he had designed and installed over several weekends. Every corner reflected intentional care, the kind that came from knowing exactly what you wanted and being patient enough to build it right. Kendra understood that patience. They had met through Malik's wife. They taught at the same school, but neither had rushed into anything. Their first date was coffee that stretched into lunch because the conversation flowed easily. She asked thoughtful questions about electrical work, genuinely curious about the engineering aspects. He found himself drawing diagrams on napkins, explaining load calculations, and she followed every detail. Their relationship developed with the same careful attention. Dinner dates became weekend projects, became comfortable routines. She had her own life, her own passion for teaching, and her own definition of success that had nothing to do with status or appearance. When she laughed, it was genuine. When she spoke, it was direct. Everything about her felt like truth. Malik's spring wedding had been a celebration of that kind of truth. Marcus stood beside his oldest friend as best man, watching him marry a woman who loved him exactly as he was. When it came time for the toast, Marcus spoke from that same place of authenticity. Showing up for someone, he had said, looking at the newlyweds, means seeing them completely and choosing them daily. It means building something real together, brick by brick, day by day. It means understanding that love is not a feeling you fall into. It is a commitment you rise to every morning with your whole heart. The reception hall had gone quiet. Malik had hugged him hard enough to crack ribs. Brianna crossed Marcus's mind occasionally, but without rancor. She was a closed chapter in a book he had finished reading. He heard through business circles that she was still at the Covington office, still in the same apartment complex. The life she had imagined with Lance had evaporated like morning dew, leaving behind only what was real. He wished her neither harm nor particular happiness. She simply was not part of his story anymore. The envelope in his mailbox that morning had no return address, but he recognized Gloria Whitaker's distinctive handwriting immediately. Inside was a simple white card containing 4 words: "You deserved better." G. Marcus read it once, appreciating its simple honesty. He tucked it carefully into his wallet, not as a reminder of what was lost, but as recognition of his own worth, something he had never actually misplaced. Moving back to the kitchen, he refilled his coffee and turned his attention to the school district bid documents spread across the table. I hope you enjoyed that one. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so you do not miss the next story. I have picked out 2 more for you that I think you will really like.